Hey guys, what is going on? Welcome back to another home video review from us here at FlickDirect, and for today's home video review, I'm going to be talking to you guys about, in my opinion, one of the most underrated film trilogies out there that precedes, in my opinion, the greatest film trilogy out there of all time. I should say, I was getting tongue twisted anyways, and that is The Hobbit in 4K. Yes, which means Lord of the Rings is also going to be in 4K about freaking time. Seriously, it's about time this happened. I'm so freaking happy right now. If you guys weren't able to see the Hobbit Trilogy when it originally came out in theaters, Unexpected Journey originally came out in 2012, Desolation of Smog was in 2013, and then The Battle of the Five Armies came out in 2014. Essentially, this is like Lord of the Rings, that trilogy. This is basically one big trilogy, or if you ask me, The Hobbit, like Lord of the Rings, is essentially one big epic movie, even if I'll get into my little review in a little bit. I mean, it's going to be a bigger review compared to my other home video reviews out there since I'm reviewing essentially the entire trilogy. The basic plot of the Hobbit trilogy is that we follow a younger Bilbo Baggins, who in this film is played by Martin Freeman, as he is met by Gandalf the Grey, played by, of course, by Ian freaking McKellen. He is tasked by Gandalf to go with this group of dwarves, which I can't remember all their names. I remember one of them was Thorin Oakenshield. I'll get into my flaws in a little bit, trust me. Bilbo Baggins is accompanying Thorin Oakenshield and his company of dwarves. Essentially, they're trying to reclaim the Misty Mountain, their home, from Smaug the dragon, who is portrayed by Benedict Cumberbatch before Thorin essentially becomes... I don't want to give too much away in case if you guys haven't seen it, but Thorin essentially, as they get to the Battle of the Five Armies, he becomes obsessed with his gold and getting the Arkenstone, if I remember correctly. That's what Bilbo gets. And then, that's all I'm going to say. To give you guys my quick review of the Hobbit trilogy, I'm going to try and be as condensed as possible because the Hobbit trilogy is a big trilogy, even though, from what I heard, the book itself wasn't that big compared to the Lord of the Rings books, although Peter Jackson decided to stretch out as much as he possibly could for the Hobbit trilogy. The Hobbit trilogy isn't quite as great as Lord of the Rings trilogy. Now, the Lord of the Rings trilogy is my favorite trilogy of all time. Hell, Lord of the Rings Return of the King is my favorite movie of all time, and nothing has come close to encompassing that. I was trying to figure out the right word. However, at the same time, while The Hobbit isn't quite as great as Lord of the Rings, as a trilogy, I think it stands on its own very, very well with some flaws. Now, in terms of my favorite of the trilogy, it's easily The Desolation of Smog. I thought that when it came to finding its footing, The Desolation of Smog was where it really picked up. Battle of the Five Armies is still a good movie, but since it's capping off The Hobbit, I don't think it was as strong as it could have been. However, how it does set up the events of Lord of the Rings, I'm not gonna lie. I saw the movie twice when it first came out, and both times I saw it in theaters was crying like a baby. I was a mess that day in 2014. Can you believe it's been 6 years since the Hobbit movies ended? Oh my god. The one that really gets the most flack is An Unexpected Journey. I never understood why, because I feel like that Unexpected Journey, when I first saw it in theaters, I feel like I was revisiting an old friend and we were having an amazing time throughout all three films. I know a lot of you are going to ask, which I will get into, is the 48 frames per second. I was actually one of the few people that did not mind the 48 frames. Now, I did see all three movies in both formats. I know that a lot of people say that it's too soap opera-like, but for me, it made me think of Middle-earth more as an actual place more than an actual soap opera. At the same time, I can recognize its faults. Like, for example, Unexpected Journey is a tad bit too long. Do not get me wrong. And Desolation of Smog, I feel like just had that right mix, although my biggest issue with the trilogy entirely is that when it came to the dwarves, I only maybe know 3 of their names. I mean, I know Thorin Oakenshield. Gimli's not one of them. That's the dwarf in Lord of the Rings. What are the names? Even though they have great banter with one another, but when it came to like the actual character development, I feel like that Thorin Oakenshield was the only one that got any development, but nonetheless, I like their banter, even though I don't remember any of their names besides Thorin anyways. If you guys have seen the behind the scenes, Peter Jackson admitted that he was just winging it the entire time. But I gotta say, even though he was just winging it the entire time, he did a damn good job on it. If you guys know the production of the Hobbit movies, the Hobbit trilogy, Guillermo del Toro was originally supposed to direct, then he dropped out, then Peter Jackson essentially came back in, and he just essentially brought together 3 movies within a couple of years, where in the Lord of the Rings trilogy, he had all this time, all this prep. Peter Jackson just went we're doing it live, guys. That was essentially his attitude, and I gotta say, even though that it wasn't quite there with Lord of the Rings, for what Peter Jackson is able to do in the short time he had, gotta hand it to him. He did a damn good job with this. Even if the Battle of the Five Armies is by far the weakest one, I still like that film. Still the weakest one, even though I enjoy all movies quite a bit. Smaug, by the way, is by none the best dragon in movie history, next to Toothless from How to Train Your Dragon. Howard Shore's score is absolutely amazing. In terms of what is now not a quick review, I think the Hobbit Trilogy is underrated. I never really got the slack or the hate that I got, especially with Unexpected Journey. Battle of the Five Armies, I can see it a little bit, but still nonetheless, this is a very underrated trilogy that I still quite love, to be honest. Getting right into the audio and video quality, the Hobbit, the entire trilogy in 4K is presented on an aspect ratio of 2.40 by 1, and I gotta say, this movie looks freaking amazing in 4K. Now, what I will say is this. By the way, I know a lot of you are probably going to ask, does this collection have the 24 and the 48? From what I saw, it only has the 24 frames version. The colors look amazing. Everything balances out. Even if you can see the makeup, just a tad bit much. You see the littlest of details, and the cinematography looks amazing, even if a lot of it is on a blue screen, unfortunately. Seeing Middle-earth in 4K, I feel like I was back revisiting my college years once again because, fun fact, The Hobbit came out when I was in college. The Hobbit, in terms of the audio quality, does come with a Dolby Atmos track and also with a 7.1 track, and I gotta freaking say, in 7.1 and Dolby Atmos, if you have a great surround sound, there are certain parts in this trilogy that made me go, oh my god. Especially in Desolation of Smog. The barrel riding sequence is amazing, and Battle of the Five Armies, which is pretty much nothing but battles, I want to say, like in the last, for like 40 minutes of it, but the battles sound absolutely incredible. Unexpected Journey, there's a sequence involving trolls, and there's an amazing sequence where they're going into the caves, which looks absolutely amazing. When you hear the clashing of the swords, the fire-breathing dragon of Smaug, it's just... Now, surprisingly enough, getting right into the special features, The Hobbit in 4K, all movies in 4K don't have a single special feature, which blows my mind. Peter Jackson didn't really have a lot of prep to do in terms of doing any of the movies compared to the prep he was able to do in Lord of the Rings. I would have loved to have seen some type of behind the scenes, but still what we have here is enough. However, even though there's no special features, all of the Hobbit movies in 4K have their regular editions, the theatrical cut, and the extended cut, to which I gotta tell you guys this. So starting off with The Hobbit Unexpected Journey, the theatrical cut, that cut is 169 minutes. Unexpected Journey Extended Edition, just over 3 hours. Desolation of Smog, theatrical cut, 161 minutes, so just below 3 hours, it's about 20 minutes less. Extended cut, over 3 hours. Battle of the Five Armies, which is the shortest one, which is really crazy, although I'm glad that's the shortest cut. Battle of the Five Armies is not even 2.5 hours long, but the extended edition is just over 2.5 hours, and get this, guys. Both the cuts of Unexpected Journey and Desolation of Smog, extended and theatrical, are both PG-13. However, even though the theatrical cut of Battle of the Five Armies is PG-13, the extended cut is rated R. I'm not kidding. That blew my mind, but yeah, otherwise, guys, no special features, to which that really shocked me. All in all, guys, what we have here is, at least in my opinion anyways, one of the most underrated film trilogies of all time that precedes the greatest film trilogy of all time in my eyes, that has a great epic story with some faults to it, with terrific video quality, amazing audio quality, and every cut of Lord of the Rings, the Hobbit trilogy, both in its theatrical cuts and as well, not to mention, its extended glory as well, even though it is a tad bit longer. But nonetheless, guys, if you loved The Hobbit when you first saw it in theaters and you want to watch it in 4K, watch it. Just to let you guys know, this does not include the 48 frames, this is only the 24 frames. I hope you guys enjoyed our home video review of the Hobbit Trilogy in 4K. If so, please hit that like button, also share, and don't forget to subscribe and notification bell for the latest video from us goes live. If you guys want to see any of our previous 2 home video reviews, please click on the right there or there. And of course, into our next home video review, we'll see you guys next time. Have a great day, guys, and enjoy your revisit to Middle-earth.